They laughed at me for being a single mom, until the groom revealed what I did for him. The champagne glasses froze midair. Marcus, my brother-in-law's best friend, stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor of the reception hall. The laughter that had been directed at me just seconds ago evaporated, leaving a silence so thick I could feel it pressing against my skin. "I think there's something everyone should know about Elena," Marcus said, his voice steady but firm. My sister Vanessa's face drained of color. She'd just finished her toast, the one where she'd looked directly at me and said, "Thank God I found someone before I ended up desperate and alone with a kid." The one that had the entire room erupting in laughter while I sat there, my 4-year-old daughter Lily coloring quietly at the kids' table, oblivious to her mother being the evening's entertainment. Have you ever felt your entire body burn with humiliation while forcing yourself to smile? Have you sat in a room full of people who claimed to love you while they reduced your entire existence to a cautionary tale? I had spent the last hour doing exactly that. I almost didn't come to the wedding. The invitation sat on my counter for weeks, its elegant script and cream-colored envelope mocking me. Vanessa and I hadn't been close since I decided to raise Lily on my own after her father walked out when I was 7 months pregnant. My family treated my single motherhood like a contagious disease they might catch if they stood too close. But my mother called 6 times the week before. "Just show up, Elena. It's family. Don't make things awkward. Don't make things awkward." As if my presence, my very existence as a 31-year-old single mother, working 3 jobs and still managing to raise a kind, bright daughter, was inherently awkward. I borrowed a dress from my neighbor Patty, found shoes at a thrift store, let Lily pick out my earrings, tiny silver stars that she said matched my eyes. "You look pretty, Mama," she said as I knelt to zip up her flower girl dress. The pride in her voice made my heart swell. If only she knew how the family she was about to see viewed her mother. If you've ever been made to feel less than because of a choice you made from love, you know the weight I carried into that reception hall. The ceremony went smoothly. I stood in the back, Lily perfectly behaved beside me. I avoided eye contact with relatives who I knew viewed me as the family failure. My mother hugged me briefly, her embrace tentative, as if single motherhood might rub off on her. "You look nice," she said, her eyes darting around to see who might be watching us. The reception was held at an overpriced venue with crystal chandeliers and white roses cascading from every surface. I was seated at the corner table, not with immediate family, but with distant cousins and friends who didn't quite make the cut for the main table. Lily was whisked away to the children's table with coloring books and chicken nuggets. I sat alone, sipping water, checking my phone occasionally for messages from work. I had picked up an extra shift tomorrow to pay for the babysitter tonight. "Still no man in your life?" My Aunt Gina slid into the empty chair beside me, her voice dripping with false concern. "I'm focused on Lily and work right now," I said, the response automatic after years of practice. "Such a shame," she sighed, patting my hand. "You were always so pretty, before, you know." She gestured vaguely at my body, at my life. I nodded and excused myself to check on Lily. "Have you ever noticed how some people can make concern sound exactly like judgment?" When the toasts began, I braced myself. My brother-in-law Simon spoke first, charming and funny. Then came Vanessa's maid of honor, with stories of their college adventures. Each speech emphasized how perfect, how blessed, how right my sister's life had turned out. Then Vanessa herself stood up, glass in hand, radiant in her designer gown. "I want to thank everyone for coming today," she began. "I'm so lucky to have found Simon, to have this perfect day, this perfect life ahead of us." Her eyes scanned the room, landing on me. "I'm especially grateful I found him when I did. Nothing terrifies me more than the thought of ending up alone, desperate, with a child and no support." The laughter started soft, then grew. My Uncle David actually slapped the table. My mother looked down at her plate but didn't object. "Some women just make bad choices," my uncle called out, "then expect everyone else to celebrate them for it." More laughter. More nodding. In that moment, I felt smaller than I had in years. Not since the day Lily's father told me he wasn't ready to be tied down had I felt so utterly diminished. I glanced at Lily, still happily coloring, and thanked whatever angels were watching that she couldn't hear this. Couldn't understand that her existence was being framed as my greatest failure rather than my greatest joy. And that's when it happened. Marcus stood up. "I think there's something everyone should know about Elena," he repeated, his voice cutting through the laughter like a blade through silk. The room went silent. Vanessa's smile faltered. Simon shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Marcus walked around the table until he was standing near me. Not touching me, not claiming me, just standing as if to say, "I see you." 3 years ago, when my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I was working 2 jobs and still couldn't afford her treatments. I was drowning. Most people sent thoughts and prayers. Elena was the only one who actually showed up. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't expected this. Hadn't expected anyone to remember. Elena drove my mother to chemo appointments while caring for a toddler. She organized a fundraiser that paid for 3 months of medication. She brought homemade meals to our house every Sunday for a year. He turned to look directly at Vanessa. "While you were posting vacation photos from Cabo, your sister was holding my mother's hand through her worst days. While you were shopping for this wedding, Elena was working night shifts at the hospital after spending all day with Lily and still finding time to check on my mom." The silence in the room had weight now. Heavy. Pressing. "So when you laugh at her for being alone, when you mock her for raising a child by herself, you're not just being cruel, you're missing the point entirely. Elena isn't alone because she's desperate or made bad choices. She's alone because she sets the bar so high that most people can't reach it. If you've ever been defended when you least expected it, you know the feeling that washed over me then. Not vindication, not even pride. Just the simple, profound relief of being seen." Vanessa's face had gone from shocked to furious. "This is my wedding," she hissed. "How dare you?" "This is your family," Marcus replied calmly. "How dare you?" My mother stood up then, her hands shaking slightly. For a moment, I thought she might defend Vanessa. Instead, she looked at me directly for what felt like the first time in years. "He's right," she said quietly. "We haven't been fair to you, Elena." The admission hung in the air, fragile as breath on cold glass. I stood up slowly, my legs steadier than I expected. I walked to the children's table and knelt beside Lily. "Ready to go home, sweetheart?" I asked. She nodded, gathering her crayons and the drawing she'd made, a house with 3 stick figures in front of it. "That's you, me, and Grandma," she explained. I took her hand and walked toward the exit. As we passed Marcus, I paused. "Thank you," I said simply. He nodded, just telling the truth. We left without looking back. The night air felt clean against my face, washing away the remnants of shame I'd carried for too long. If you're reading this, and you've ever been made to feel less than for the choices you've made out of love, I want you to know something. Your worth isn't determined by those who don't understand your journey. In the weeks that followed, things shifted. Not dramatically, not completely, but enough. My mother called and actually listened when I talked about Lily's preschool. She offered to babysit one evening so I could take a yoga class. Something I hadn't done in years. Vanessa didn't apologize. I didn't expect her to. But she stopped posting passive-aggressive comments on social media whenever I shared photos of Lily and me at the park, or baking cookies, or just living our imperfect, beautiful life. Marcus came by with groceries one Sunday. "Just returning the favor," he said when I protested. He stayed for dinner. Then for a movie after Lily went to bed. Then for breakfast the next morning. But that's another story. The truth is, I don't need anyone to complete my family. Lily and I are whole just as we are. What I needed, what everyone needs, is to be seen, really seen. Not as a stereotype or a cautionary tale, but as a human being doing her best with the life she's been given. If you've ever felt judged for your choices, remember this: those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. Your story is yours alone to write. And sometimes, just when you least expect it, someone will stand up and remind the world that your story is worth telling. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And remember, you're doing better than you think.